Kevin Cottam, welcome to the World Wealth Creation Conference. How are you finding it?
It's great. Thanks very much. It's really wonderful to be here. I think that Mick has really put on a really great show here with a lot of talent from all around the world, which I think is marvelous. I mean, we need to learn from so many great minds.
Yeah, absolutely. With the likes of Jim Rogers and Brian Tracy, it's endlessly fascinating listening to these guys.
Yes, I mean, the wealth of knowledge over the years that they've had, and just that I think is also really inspirational, and it gives us a lot of motivation as to exactly helps us to where we want to go.
Fantastic. And you, of course, yourself are an esteemed author and a keynote speaker globally around the world, and you specialize in the area of leadership development. And I particularly wanted to talk to you today because you are releasing a book called The Nomadic Mindset.
Yes, it's called The Nomadic Mindset, Never Settle for Too Long. That's the subtitle.
Wow, okay. So what does it mean by the nomadic mindset? To me, that would mean someone who would want to be endlessly traveling and never settling down anywhere in the world, but wants to travel everywhere and see everything.
Well, in actual fact, when I was in Mongolia with the Mongolian nomads, I asked the question. And they said, well, generally speaking, what people think is the nomad is someone that travels around and doesn't settle. In actual fact, it means the movement of the mind. And so I thought this is really fascinating, is this fact of it's the movement of the mind. So my belief is the nomadic mindset is a real type of, it's a mindset which looks at different pastures. And when we say different roads, finds different ideas as an executive or a leader. It could be very much, where do we go? They're very visionary, they're very flexible, they're into change. In fact, change is just a normal aspect of life. Risk is what they love to do. And also they realize that they're very strategic, because as a nomad is that they have to move from one location to the next. And so they have to be very strategic, understand, and get very intuitive as to when to move. What is the environment, the physical environment? What are our animals saying? All of these particular things, they're led by the environment. And so consequently, how are you led by, in your corporate world, how are you led by the environment of the economics, the financial situation? How are you led by leadership? What is happening? And it's about having that touch and feel on an ongoing basis of where are we?
Well, fantastic. So if there's a nomadic mindset, that means, by definition, there are other types of mindsets within the corporate world.
Yeah, there are. In fact, what I'm doing is I'm looking at 3 different mindsets as sort of categories, I suppose you would call them, and they're really based on behaviors. And we have all 3 within us, which is the nomadic mindset, the settler mindset, and also the nester mindset. However, we have a predominance. And I guess I would ask you, Perry, what do you think you are out of those 3?
Well, I think for myself, I'd guess that I might be the nomadic mindset. You know, I'm British by origin, but I came out to Asia 10 years ago for the very reason I wanted to travel and see a different part of the world, experience a different culture, but also work and develop my career in a different environment as well. And certainly when I first came out to Asia, I noted just how dynamic and forward-thinking it was at that time 10 years ago, which is very exciting to me. So that's how I would describe the nomadic mindset, wanting to explore that kind of opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, those are real facets and behaviors of a nomadic mindset. I mean, we need to have all 3 within organizations. Otherwise, the organization would not do well just with nomads, nomadic thinkers. However, we need the settlers, which are the true builders of the company, and those are the ones that are actually very proactive and often, as we call CFOs and COOs, they are very much a settler in that sense. However, they have maybe a leg into the nomad. Whereas we have the nesters, which are the glue that hold the company together. And they all have their positive and negatives, as we all know, in different personalities. And I think that the great thing about it is looking at these as a different way of looking at it. We have Myers-Briggs, we have DISC, we have colors, we have that people look at their personalities. I just sense that this has a more dynamism to it at this point in time in the disruptive world, and also with the speed. And I don't think that speed has really been reflective in a lot of the different personalities And the nomadic mindset is really about speed, and it's about moving quickly. So for example, you can be very still for a certain length of time, as a nomad would be. However, they have to make often decisions very quickly. They're very strategic, they're very focused, and they make them.
Right. So by what you're saying there, then, that's millennials and the Linksters, the next generation beyond the millennials, are much more nomadic because they're fully integrated with social media and every other technological development that comes along. They want to see fast-paced things. So would they be nomadic?
Yeah, most of the people I've talked to with regards to startups and some of the millennials that I have spoken to with research for this book is that in actual fact, yeah, they lean more towards that because of the growth today, the speed, the things that, as you just spoke about. At the same time, some of their cultural upbringings have pulled them back into the settled and to the nested. Depending on, in Asia, for example, there's a very strong familial aspect of which can pull them back into a nested thinking or a settled thinking, which, it doesn't necessarily benefit when you really want to shift and move, because they tend to hold you back. And that's not really where you want to be.
So how did you go about this research? Why did you decide that this is a good area to explore?
Well, I work with a mentor. His name is Frederick Harron, and he is a global conference speaker. And we were discussing, what is my inner theme. And I'm really a global nomad myself, and I have my whole inspiration is really about globalness and also about moving, myself physically moving, but my mind is often moving on an ongoing basis. And so he said, well, why don't you do something around? I said, yeah, okay, the nomadic mindset, this is exactly it. So we talked about it, and so the research is part anthropological, social anthropological. So I spent some time in Mongolia. I'm going to spend some time in Kenya with the Maasai, and then also with the Berbers in Morocco. So I'll get a nice cross-section.
Wow, that's really fascinating.
Yeah, I'm really excited by it because I've never had this type of experience before. And so this is nomadic into itself, just throwing myself right into it. And then I have a nested part of me going, oh no, what is I have to be feared about, and will there be danger, will all of this. Anyway, that's a real nested thinking in many ways. But then I'm also interviewing a variety of corporates, and say executives from startups to multinationals. And that I'm getting a lot of information, also public sector and private sector. And so I'm getting a lot of information about the characteristics and some of the qualities of each one of these personality groups and the thinker and the mindsets. So I think that's what's really exciting about it.
Yeah, it sounds really, really fantastic. So I guess how can people get hold of your book then, The Nomadic Mindset? Well,
the book I'm just still in research mode. I will start to write it starting in the end of January, and my focus is June 1st is it published, and so that's the direction of it at this point in time. People can start to follow me on the nomadicmindset.com, which takes you through the journey, takes you through some of the projects that are going along with it. And it will, there's video blogs, and there's blogs, and so I'm writing, and hopefully it will engage the public as well to converse with it and ask me questions, and also, I'm very curious, find people's thoughts so that I can also input that into the book as well.
Well, that's absolutely brilliant. So the nomadicmindset.com, I'm going to be signing up to that one, and I really thank you for your time. Thank you very much for coming to see us today.
Thanks, Barry, very much. It's been great.
All right.